Hey, aloha, and welcome to the Friday Marketing Jam Session. I'm Tom Gaddis. I am excited to be here, excited to have you here. We have a fantastic live show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about how high performers stay consistent and accountable and get more done in a week than most people do in a month. I've got some special guests we're going to bring out as well. But until then, I'm going to cue up the intro, and I will see you back here in one momento.
It's now time, the moment you've been waiting for. Get ready for the fastest 60 minutes of marketing strategies and tactics to build your remote empire from anywhere in the world. After 167 agonizing hours, they've finally returned. From the sun-soaked Sin City and the sandy shores of Maui, Hawaii, now back for a brand new Aloha Marketing Jam Session. It's your hosts, the Offline Sharks and Remote Millionaires, Tom Gaddis and Nick Ponte.
Oh, wow. Listen to that crowd. You guys are fired up. I love it. I love it. All right. I love it. Welcome, everybody. Let's go to the comments. See who's here. Michael, welcome. Aloha Facebook user Darla, welcome. Aloha from deep South Texas, welcome. If you guys go in and grant StreamYard permission, we can see your names and stuff. Excited to be here. I missed you guys last week. Thank you, first of all, to all of the people in the community that took the time to wish me a happy birthday, and I really appreciate it. Last Sunday was my birthday. My mom's been in town until this morning. I took her to the airport. Telling you, my mom is running me ragged. She's keeping me out late at night doing Vegas stuff. So I'm going to spend the weekend catching up on some sleep. But I am excited to be here today. Hola, Barbara. Thank you, Darla. I appreciate that. It was the big 5-0. The big 5-0. My family made it a great time. We had a really good birthday week. So what's up, Patty? Welcome. Thank you. Website Creations says happy birthday. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I see Cameron's in the house. Awesome. Welcome. Well, let's get this party started. I want to start the show off by doing what we like to do every week, which is celebrate the wins and the success that you've been having in the Facebook group. So I'm going to pull up the screen. We're going to do some shark shout outs. Then I'm going to bring out my special guests, and you guys are going to be in for a real treat. You're going to be able to ask questions. They're going to talk about high performers, how you stay consistent, how you stay accountable. If you have questions about sales, marketing, any of that stuff, you'll be able to get those out on the live stream today. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So let me pull up my screen here, and we'll run through some shark shout-outs. All right. Okay, here we go. First up, Mr. Kurt signed another SEO client, $15,600 for the year, and he has an existing client added retargeting for the summer at $7,200. Whew, man, those are solid wins, Kurt. Congratulations. I saw those in the Facebook group. Excellent work. Way to go, my friend. Way to go. Next up, we've got Sandy Alexander. She signed up a day spa for social media posting, $154 a month. Congratulations, Sandy. It's awesome to see all the wins you've been posting and getting all that traction. Great stuff. Great profile pic, too. Love the water in the background there. Awesome. Next up, we've got Jennifer. Jennifer picked up a few gigs on Upwork to get her marketing juices flowing. You know, that's something we don't talk about a lot in here. I know if you're a member of the Shark Alliance, there's some training in there from John Shea on how to get clients through Upwork. That's a method he's been using for a long time. So Jennifer got her first gig for $500 and now $1,500 a month retainer with a current client. She closed another handful of jobs, $1,125 overall total of $3,125, providing email and SMS marketing. Jennifer, way to go. Way to throw your hat in the ring there at Upwork and get some traction. I mean, look, that's a key marketing principle, right? If you're looking for work, go to where people are looking to hire, and Upwork and those types of places are a great place for that. So way to go, Jennifer. Awesome stuff. Next up, Ash, 4-page website for a nutritionist who's an existing print and design client. 700 pounds, that's $890. He'll be using the home services jackpot template. Wow, awesome win, Ash. I love it. Upgrading somebody you're doing an existing service for to a new service. That's great stuff there, Ash. Congratulations. Way to go. Next up, we've got Stormin Norman. He signed a new veterinary clinic coming in for $1,800 a month, SEO Advanced, and Google Business Profile ranking package. Excellent work, Norm. Excellent work. Norm may be making an appearance. You'll have to hang out to find out if he'll be here or not. It's a surprise. But that's an awesome win, Norm. Awesome to see the wins you've been having in the group and all the support you're giving to our Remote Millionaires members. We really appreciate it. It's really, really great stuff. And that's a combined total of $28,319 for the week of July 1st through the 7th. Our grand total since the start of 2023, $911,506. We are closing in on the $1 million mark, and we're just about halfway through the year. So way to go, everybody. Keep it up. Keep taking action. Keep posting those wins. If you're not, throw your hat in the ring. Get out there and take some action. Look at what other people are doing. Take advantage of the free resources and all the other stuff we have here at Offline Sharks to get out there and get some traction, right? Nothing happens till you start putting one foot in front of the other. So congratulations to everybody. Big, big, solid wins. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. What's up, Maddie? I see website Grace says, wow, holy smokes, Kurt. Yeah, that's really great. Awesome work. Awesome work, everybody. Awesome work. Look, I want to bring out our special guest right now. We've got 3 all-stars on this live stream today that are going to be taking your questions. They're going to be talking about, again, high performers, holding accountable sales, all that good stuff that we need to be successful. So let me bring them out. I've got Mr. Nick Luisi. What's up, Nick?
Hey, Tom. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got Mr. Jason Canigan. Jason, welcome back.
Hello. Thank you.
You've been a hit on the live show, both of you, so I'm excited to have you guys back. And then the man himself, Mr. Stormin Norman. What's up, Norm?
What's up, Sharks? How you doing?
I feel like I'm with royalty with Norm being here. It felt like a 70s game show, the way we kind of came all in and we're in a box. We're like the Brady Bunch. But it's like I got Remote Millionaires, Offline Sharks royalty with Norm on the screen with me. That's wonderful.
We could have
Happy to be here.
This is a story. Local marketers just trying to get their businesses off the ground.
Absolutely.
There we go. Awesome. Welcome. What's up, Richie? Welcome. Well, we have kind of a special treat for you guys today. We're going to do something a little different. I am actually going to relinquish control of this live stream to the 3 gentlemen you see on here. They're going to hang out with you. They're going to take your questions. They're going to talk about sales. They're going to talk about being a high performer, taking action. That's really what that's about, right? Like, I know we all want to be high performers, but it all starts by just taking some action in the beginning, right, guys? Like just putting one foot in front of the other, starting that journey, starting to get out there, put yourself out there and see the kind of results you get. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to share. I know our Sharks are too. So how about I'll turn it over to Nick. And,
so you're not giving the real story, right?
Okay, all right.
You turn 50 and you got to go take a nap, right? So that's the reason why you're turning it over. At 50, you're like, okay, I need an afternoon nap. It's time for I gotta look to see what time the specials start to get in early, right? Is that what's happening?
Dinner time for me now. So, I got to start going and get that prepped up.
So now that you have age, right? You're 50, you're more, you're the senior spokesperson. What have you learned in your 50s, we'll say, that you want to share as a high performer or just in life?
Man, I'll tell you, the biggest thing for me, Nick, and I say this a lot, is like this whole entrepreneur thing for me has been a journey of becoming. Like I thought for a long time, like, oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I had no idea what that really entailed. I had no idea, the amount of action, the amount of habits and routines that I would need to develop over the years to continue to become better, right? So I think one of the biggest one of the biggest aha moments for me in the beginning was action is key, right? Taking action, getting out there, talking to people that are potential clients for my agency. That was a real turning point. Up until, 2012 ish, I was really just consuming a lot of information, but not taking a lot of action. And I felt like I was taking action because I was consuming information and learning things. And when I look back, like all of that stuff had its place, right? If you're in that stage of your development right now where you're consuming information, like I know we talk a lot about shiny object syndrome and we want you to take action. That's always the goal. But, for me, a lot of that learning process, I needed that. Like I didn't know the skills, and I was lacking in skills. And so along the way, I've had to stop and just spend some time to develop new skills, learn new stuff, really start to, focus on the revenue producing activities and put those things in. And the biggest, I guess, the other underlying thing with all that is like, it's okay to go out there and make mistakes. It's okay to try something and it not work. That's not the end of the world, right? You're going to get clients. You're going to lose clients. You're going to get better clients. You're going to get clients that you're not happy with, clients that aren't happy. Like all of that stuff is just a part of being an entrepreneur. So, for me, it's been just continually looking at all that stuff on a daily basis of like, well, how did I do today? What can I do better tomorrow? And then what are the parts where I feel like I need to work the most, right? Like what's the big roadblock right now that's holding me back, and how can I get past that? Whatever that is. Here's the thing: those roadblocks never just go away. There's always a new one, a next one. You can always improve what you're doing and get better. And so that's really kind of what I try to do today, right? Is just look at each day. What am I doing today to move my business forward? And then at the end of the day, well, what could I have done better? And what do I want to make a commitment to do better tomorrow and moving forward?
That was gold. I hope like everybody that was listening just caught that and put it to memory or go back and watch that. That was just gold that you laid on us. I mean, like you're smarter at 50 than you were at 49 and 364 days. That's for sure.
Only because now I know I don't know everything. Right? Like that's the thing when you realize like, oh, you don't know everything and you're open to learning and really too, like what that comes down to when I say improving, like, well, how do I know what to improve? Well, I look at the results I'm getting.
Yeah.
Right? Like if the results aren't what I want them to be, then I used to always think that was because there was either something I didn't know or something everybody else knew that I didn't. And I've discovered that that's not the case. It really always, if I'm not getting the results that I want or am expecting, it almost always comes back to something that I need to improve. There's something I need to work on, whether that be a habit, a skill set, or, developing a routine to focus on that. I mean, I'm with a lot of you guys. Like, I don't wake up every morning thinking, yeah, let's do some business. Like sometimes it's like, I don't feel like doing it, but I have conditioned myself to just do it anyway. Just like going to the gym. I don't always feel like going, but man, I set a time in my calendar to go, and regardless of how I feel, I just go, show up. Sometimes I'm really into the workout. Sometimes I'm just going through the motions, but I go through the motions, right? And continue to move forward.
You do that Fitness 45, right? Or that 45 sprint or...
So I've been doing that for 2 years now. My daughter has started to want to work out with me. So I went to a regular gym and I've been going there with her so we can work out together. And she's gotten into volleyball and she's looking to, improve her skills there. So the past few weeks I've been doing that. So I think I'm going to be doing that moving forward. So, it gives me good quality time with her. I get to do something that's good for me too. We get to spend some time together and it's good for everybody.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we know you got to take a nap. So
Yes.
We'll take it from there. Thanks for that wisdom. And I'm going to ask, Jason and Norm the same question. So you all are entrepreneurs. You're all high performers. You've been doing this, for a couple of years. You've had the journey. What's the wisdom that you could share with the crowd that's watching us?
Jason, I'll let you go first.
Boy. I was lucky. I got an operations management education in 1994 through 96, right? Where I took 10 and 11 courses a term, which is double the university maximum recommended course load. 50 people started my program and 30 graduated. We had a 40% failure rate. And I'll tell you, that thing taught me how to work. I used to procrastinate like crazy when I was a teenager. And after the end of that, I was 19, 20, something like that. There was no more procrastination. And I had learned that there were inputs and then a process and then an output, right? And this model gets applied to business, right? There's stuff that I call them Lego blocks that you work with. You run a consistent process that makes something like a website or something, and then a result gets spat out the other side. And so, just doing that for a number of years as an employee and continuing to learn in that, and then starting my own businesses and finding out all the other things. Fortunately, I had a background in sales and credit management and factory management and that kind of thing, which helped me. But if you're just starting from scratch, just getting the idea that, look, as a business owner, you need to think like a business owner, and a business owner is interested in creating a system that does the same thing over and over and over again, right? And hopefully refines it and improves upon it. But there again is that process that I talked about. There's inputs, a process, and then a result. And so how do we make something that produces the result of getting paid that we want over and over again and makes more and more of that happen? For a greater or lesser extent in my career, I've had better and worse success in doing that. But that's the focus. And if I could get that across, people who have talked to me know that I'm insistent on them realizing, like, this is what you should be trying to build, right? And Nick Ponte talks about it in Remote Millionaires, the 3 pillars, right? I have a slightly different way of organizing it, but it's the same thing, right? And just getting that thought, and that's in like stage 1 of Remote Millionaires. It's like the first thing they teach you along with the SOPs, right? So I'll finish with that, but getting that picture in your head.
How about you, Big Norm, Storm and Norman?
So for me, like a big part of my getting here to where I am right now is just taking action, and I think that, we can learn all day, we can do a course all day, but if you don't take any action with that course or whatever you're learning, you'll never get anywhere, right? And some of the things that hold us back, I think, are fear of failure, and fear of making mistakes and stuff like that. So I have no fear of making mistakes. I welcome the fear, I welcome the mistakes, and then I try to improve on that when I make that mistake, right? So yeah, that's my biggest inspiration for you is, like, don't be afraid to start and get better with your process as you go along, right? It's never, Nick didn't start Nick Ponte marketing perfect at the beginning, right? The way it is right now, even when I started with him, he wasn't even there the way he is right now, right? So it's a process that you have to go through, but you have to take action to make it happen.
You have the benefit of being an entrepreneur, right? You came from being an employee, which you had a really cool backstory, which we might go into a little bit, to kind of being what I call a service provider, right? You're kind of doing the work. You're a graphic designer and you built websites, and then you knew that you kind of had to move to a business owner. One is to get that reoccurring revenue, right? To put a model in place and execute a model. And that's how you grew into the agency model. And you also have the benefit of being a success coach in the Remote Millionaires, where a portion of your time, a part-time, you work with the folks. And so you can kind of see what sets those that are really successful on their agency owner pathway to those that maybe struggle a little bit, or what's the linchpin. So I want to get into that a little bit. But you both, and has did Tom, and if we talk to people all day long, I've had the benefit of being around entrepreneurs my most of my adult life and most of my professional career. I did some stints in private practice and private equity, and also own my own couple of different businesses. But fear comes up, right? Fear is that one thing, and action, which really is the antidote to fear, I believe, right, is the second thing. And you both said it, and Tom talked about it, and we all talk about it all the time, is we all have a level of fear. We all have that talking in the back of our head occasionally, right? Maybe it's imposter syndrome that we fall into, but then we all talk about action. And I think if you could get people to that, taking some level of action, we talk about it. What's one thing you could do? Now let's do another one, right? So it's that step and step and step and step. And so what do you guys think about that?
Oh, you muted yourself, Nick.
What's your anecdote to fears?
So I can say something about imposter syndrome, because when I was starting out to be a web developer, right, learning code and learning how to design a website and stuff like that, I had imposter syndrome every day, I think, until I got good at it. And the real answer for me was to just keep learning, what I had the inconsistency and knowledge and that kind of stuff with building a website. I went and just kept learning until I was really pro at it. I learned the process for building a website, how to design a website properly. I took UX design courses. I just went out and got knowledge for what I was doing. And then the imposter syndrome fell away when your client sort of gives you the feedback that you're hoping for, right? So I think imposter syndrome comes from you not having enough knowledge in what you're doing, and then not applying it as much as you should.
Okay. How about you, Jason?
I think it's, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Nick Louisi here, he knows yesterday I had an issue, and I talked it over with Nick, and we had to do exactly what he talked about. He sent me away, write down 10 things that you could do, and then pick one and start working on it. And so I'm not exempt. It doesn't matter skills or experience or something like that. I think maybe some people have an easier time shaking it off, but my good plus point is that I take coaching, I think, very readily. Right, I respond very well to it, and it gets me back in action. And I know to go ask. Right, it's like, I'm stuck, help, right? And I've got many people who I could go to who are glad to help me out. And sometimes it's their turn to ask me, right? And that is, I think, having a good circle of entrepreneurship, contacts around you who are all experiencing this thing. Because a regular Joe who goes to a job and comes home and drinks a 6-pack of beer and watches a sports game is not experiencing what we're experiencing. And I think another thing, Nick, that comes up too is like the more you know, the scarier some things can get, because you know what's going to be involved. You don't have that newbie obliviousness of like, well, I'm just going to charge at the problem and see what happens here. Right? I wish I could do that. I wish I could blindfold myself and run at problems sometimes. But we were just talking about choosing a lead generation method, right? One over another. And we know we're highly experienced, so we know what the ladders are, the problems are, the things that could trip you up. The fact that you could spend $2,000 and not get anything in return, right? These things are serious. It's I think it's really good to have that crowd around you to help you with the right mindset and get you back on track quickly. So, yeah,
you're spot. Yeah, you're spot on. And I think we forget about that as entrepreneurs, right? The importance of a community. Norm and I were on the phone last night, or the Zoom, right? Well, we'll call it the phone, and talking about somebody. And he's like, he kept on saying to the person, we're here to support you. Our entire community of remote millionaires is set up to support you. The entire offline sharks community, right? The Facebook group is there to help and support you. Sometimes with some things I like about Facebook groups and don't like about Facebook groups is you don't know who you're taking advice from, right? Because you don't know their background, where in other things you see that. But, many times, I think when I started out as a young entrepreneur, I thought I had to do it myself, right? Kind of be, charge the mountain myself, slay the dragon myself, until I realized that there are people that want to help you and that will help you and have seen maybe 5 to 10 steps ahead and know how to stay out of the wrong mountain or the wrong dragon. And, let's banter about that a little bit. Norm, your thoughts? I see you're shaking your head. And so what are your thoughts about that? As a high performer, the importance of a community and the importance of getting advice.
Yeah. So, what I would say about that is like, this starts with my chef career. When I wanted to be executive chef of the world, right, I went and sought really big time chefs to sort of work for. and I didn't know how to cook properly. I didn't know how to, run a service properly or cater for 5,000 people properly. I really went in there to learn from that chef. And so it's the same thing in Remote Millionaires. Like you come in, you get all these coaches that are helping you, eventually build the business that you're trying to build. But doing it on your own, I would say, is almost impossible, right? To put it up that way to where I am right now, it would be impossible, or it would take me a long time to get to where I'm at right now. It's taken me only 2 years, and that's because of the coaching I've had, So I believe it's very important to what you're doing. And then our Facebook community, there's tons of, comments and stuff like that, which help others, but there's nothing like Remote Millionaires where you're actually getting a live coach helping you all the time, any day of the week. Like I'm available any day of the week for people to bug me, and I'm usually doing it till 10 p.m. at night. So, coaching is a huge advantage to any business you want to set up.
Yeah, I got to say, Norm, folks, I got to call this out because I'm not sure it's apparent to everyone. Norm was a Remote Millionaires client before he became a coach in it, number one. So he actually saw it from the inside. Two, I think I started in December working with Remote Millionaires. And one of the things that I was like delighted that there were coaches, but I was unhappy that there wasn't somebody like Norm as a coach in the program yet. And that didn't happen till February, that there was an accountability coach. And I was so happy when that happened because I knew, okay, here's somebody that I can hand clients off to, and they're in great hands, right? He knows the program. He's been through the program. He's made a success out of the program. Who better? And without that, I always felt there was something missing from the program for that first couple months there, right? And Nick knows I would constantly come back about it. And so now that Norm's been in here, I haven't had to worry about that for a second. In fact, it's been a huge thing for me to talk about with people who want to come into the program, to be able to tell them, look, there's somebody in there who knows exactly what's going on. And I can't stress enough the value of that as a business owner, because you're getting to talk to somebody who hasn't just sort of gone to school for it, right? It's not just academic. Here's a guy who's gone out there and rolled around in the mud and fought the fight and seen what it's really like, right? And can come back and tell you, okay, there's what Remote Millionaires gives you in the video training side, on kind of the course side of it. And then you go out into the real world with that, get some experience, bring it back to Norm. And Norm can tell you, here's what happened. Which often we can't define what happened. We need an outsider to tell us, and then here's what to adjust to get better results on that. So I think that's really cool.
I think entrepreneurship is the equivalence of sports, right? I think sales is the equivalence of sports. You need a coach, right? You need somebody, there's a scoreboard, whether the scoreboard is QuickBooks, right, as a business owner, or your accounting software. And right now we're in the throes of Wimbledon and the Tour de France, right? And there is coaching going on. Either their coaches observing and then giving feedback when they can, right? Because you can't coach a tennis player in the middle of the event. Same thing with the bike racers, right? So there's coaching going on at all times, and there's different coaches, right? So you need different coaches, and that's the beautiful thing of Remote Millionaires. There's different coaches for different aspects, right? So there's a sales coach, an operations coach. You have that high-level strategic thinking that Tom and Nick bring. You have the nuts and bolts of keeping you accountable that Norm brings. So it's, if you think about it like a sports or an athlete, there's the nutrition coach, there's strength coach, there's the mindset coach, which is what we're talking about, today. And it's so critical to have that. And the most successful entrepreneurs I've ever come across see the value of it, right? And make the investment even when they couldn't make the investment, right? And it kind of scared them a little bit, but it's the one thing that moved them, and it continued to move them and continued to move them and continued to move them and kind of up-level their game. And when you make that journey, as you did, Norm, from corporate chef, you were in the White House. I mean, you had to be pretty good. You weren't just slinging hash, at the local.
I was pretty good.
Yeah, you were pretty damn good. But it was it was draining you physically, right? So you physically had to get out of that. You told me your story, and then you went to kind of piecemeal and build websites and be a graphic designer. But it's a hand to mouth business, and I'm not taking anything away from it. But it's a hand to mouth business. You do a project, now you got to go find another project. You do a project, you got to go find the other project, and so that's really a job, right? It could be a high paying job. It could be an emotionally rewarding job, but it's a job. So you traded the knives and the forks and the food, for the computer. And then you became an agency owner. And what sparked you to make that, not to change from chef to graphic designer, but graphic designer to agency owner? What did you see that said, I need more, I need to do something different?
So for me, when I was building websites, I would have like 1 or 2 or 3 maybe booked, later on down the line. But more people would come at me and say, we want to book with you. Can you do our website like in the next 3 months? And I would say, no, I'm fully booked for that. And so I was turning away a lot of clients, right? Potential clients because of that. So I really wanted to get into the agency model where I could have somebody build the websites for me and I could oversee them and they would still build it the way I would build it. Right. And then luckily, this is a, maybe it's faith or something, but in my web development coaching platform, Nick and Tom came in there and they spoke for an hour. And I was the one in that conversation who kept putting his hand up, who kept asking them questions. And they both said to me, slow down your wheels a little bit. Right. But I was already ready to commit to their end of it, right, to the AGM site. So I did that right away. And then I left the coaching platform for websites and I came over to Nick and Tom. And then they offered me Remote Millionaires. So, that's how it all happened for me. And I think I just didn't want to turn away business, right? I wanted to have enough people to fulfill all the people that came at me for some sort of service work.
You're a humble guy, right? And you said, I didn't have anybody to fall back on, right? I didn't have anybody to pay my bills. I kind of had to make it work. Every leap you've made, you've had to make it work. So that means you kind of have to figure it out. 2 is you have a tenacity, issue, right? Hard work's never been you're afraid of, but how do you go kind of get yourself in the mindset or the place to say, I need to figure it out, right? I need to move to this next step. Or is it just, you just keep on, kind of drunk punching till you get to where it is?
I don't really know. I honestly will tell you, my friends say this about me. Like, why do I work so hard? Why do I keep doing what I'm doing? Like right now, with the money I'm making right now, I could just quit and I could be pretty happy for the next few years, and not have to worry about anything. But that's the nature of the beast I am, right? Like I am a workaholic. I've been a workaholic since I was like 16 years old. Becoming that chef at 20 years old, I was running hotels, and I was running like 5 different hotels at 20 years old. So I've always had this sort of, I don't know if it's called workaholic nature or just like I'm trying to be like something important sometimes, right, in my own life. And I'm trying to, impress my mom sometimes and make sure that she's proud of me. And she's really proud of me. But I'm always trying to push myself, I guess, I guess that's the word for it. I'm always trying to push myself. And hopefully the Sharks here see like how much, even currently, how much I push myself. Like I don't have to go out and get clients every week or anything, but I still try to, right? So yeah, that's my nature.
Well, it's the definition of an entrepreneur, right? More, right? We're driven by something, proving something to the world, right? It's the producer. If you think about Ayn Rand, if you want to quote, get philosophical, it's this desire to create something that's bigger than us. I'm getting a couple messages. People are asking about the Remote Millionaires program. If you just want to learn about it or just have a conversation with somebody about it, just go to remotemillionaires.com/apply. Once again, it's remotemillionaires.com/apply. That will give you just a quick application. It's just a handful of questions. So that way, when we have the conversation with you to learn about your journey of becoming a agency owner, or if you are an agency owner, to take it to the next level, it just helps us frame that conversation. So you got internal drive. You want to do better. You're making more. I think I don't want to just skip over that. You could take, what'd you say, 2 years off, 3 years off with the money you're making and not do anything, right? And so that's pretty good, right? You're socking away your retirement fund. You're paying all of your mother's bills. You're doing some great stuff, and yet you still want more, and yet it still want to give back to this community. So obviously, this community has helped you get to that point, and we always want to support what we help or what help us. Would you say that the community really got you to this level?
100%. I mean, the community got me to my next step, and then Remote Millionaires got me to here, right? Where I sort of saw the whole scope of what I was trying to do and sort of what my goals were. And I had a plan that was laid out by Nick and Tom, right? And I knew I knew that I wouldn't be perfect at it. I knew that I had to put action in place and sort of work through the thing. My first year of Remote Millionaires, I went through so many headaches, money-wise, and also, getting sales in, getting the work fulfilled to the point where the result was what the client was actually paying me for.
Yeah.
But all that kind of stuff, working it out is part of owning a business, and I fully understand that. I've owned restaurants before, I've owned bars before, and it's easier to own a Remote Millionaire agency than it is to own a restaurant or a bar, right? So yeah, all that kind of stuff. I was not eager to learn it, but I was eager to sort of, step up to the plate.
If you think about Jason, I'm going to throw this to you too. If you think about the agency business, it's a clean business, right? Compared to a bar or a restaurant, right? In a bar or restaurant, you've got 50 partners. You just didn't know you had 50 partners, and none of them chipped in any capital, right? But everybody's taking a piece of the business.
Right.
If you're not there watching them each and every day, there's no inventory in this business, right? You have an initial cost of getting things up and running, but really no business is easy, so I don't want to discount it, but from an ease of getting into a business and really creating a phenomenal business. I love the agency business model. I could talk about it all day, and I do sometimes with people, right? I got to stop myself because I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful business model. And I think it's so important. Any business owner that you speak to is always looking for that competitive edge, is always looking for new business or new leads, right? So it's an easy introduction. It's like, what do you do? Oh, I own a business. Oh, great. How about yourself? Well, so do I. I'm just curious, Nick, are you looking for new clients or do you have enough already? Well, no, of course I'm looking for new, clients. Well, great. Can I tell you how I help businesses? And so that transition in what we do as agency owners is just so easy. But Jason, you've been in a couple different businesses, right? And been in a couple different spaces. And what's your thought about the agency business and you have an affinity for it also, but what was your journey like to get to that point?
Yeah, so it's a lot harder to steal from the agency business shrinkage, right?
Right.
Labor is really the only place where that could happen, and you have time tracking and other tools to control it. You're not at the mercy of supply chain so much because it's digital creation. As long as you have somebody who's competent, and that could be you starting off, right?
Right.
You're in good shape. So your job as an agency owner at the start is to be salesperson and project manager, right? And then as soon as possible, when you can afford it, you want to offload those functions, right? And that takes you out of the business. And one of the most wonderful things about Remote Millionaires, again, when Nick brought me over here and said, take a look at these guys, I'm always going to pay attention to what Nick Louisi brings me. I started looking through it going, check. Wow. Right. And stage 5 talks about what do you do as the CEO of an agency when you're no longer taking clients and talking to clients, or you're no longer doing sales calls and you're no longer managing people. doing fulfillment work. What do you do? And I had been in this situation with my friend Jeremy Pope, who we both know, in 2017. And I was like, aha, Nick Pawnee and Tom have been here, because that's the only way you would know to write about this, right? And it showed me how far ahead they were, right? And they taught me things in those videos that I hadn't seen before. So just really, really useful stuff. Norm, I want to say, I think I'd heard the chef thing before, but I forgot about it. Now that I'm reminded, the top 3 people back in Vancouver that I knew in the tech field had been chefs before. And they all moved over to IT, but they still had their knives rolled up in their trunks of their cars. It was pretty funny.
You know, when they go camping.
Yeah. It's like we had a barbecue, out they came. But I was start slicing some tomatoes. So that was a really neat thing. If you had a racehorse, this is a quote that I read, and I put it in my, I've got a short book on productivity for agency owners. I was quoted in Inc. magazine in 2014 about productivity, and I've learned a lot since. But if you had a racehorse, would you keep it up all night feeding it cigarettes and alcohol, right? You wouldn't expect it to win, right? And so as far as, the mindset of being a business owner goes, I think that's a very important quote. It years and years ago, probably 10 years ago, I read that, and it's made me giggle and remember it ever since, right? Take care of yourself, right? Because you're the racehorse.
Totally.
If anybody has any questions for these esteemed gentlemen, just send it over in chat to us. Put it in the chat or put it in the Facebook group. We'll try to get to that. But if you have any questions, or you're burning a question or a desire to kind of ask 2 crazy high performers, and you could ask Norm what his favorite thing is to produce as a chef, right? What's his favorite meal? Is it something as simple as a burger? He's shaking his head no. All right, so great, Sandy, wonderful. Norm, how are you getting clients? How were you getting clients to come to you? So that's a great question. Thank you, Sandy.
So Sandy put that question in after I was speaking about the website clients. Too many of them coming at my face, so to speak. Really, I think it was because my portfolio was good, and I was going after startups, right, that were in sort of their 5th round of funding. So there was a lot of word of mouth, and also, like, if you guys look up Rainfall Ventures, I helped to build a lot of that website, right? The majority of that website I helped to build. It was over $100,000 to build it, and building websites like that make people look at you. And because I did it I was doing it in 2011, we weren't at the level of website development right now. It wasn't there yet, right? It was sort of the baby steps of that. So when your sort of skills are up there, people start to look at you and start to inquire with you. So that's how I got people always coming at me. And I also had a very good coach that was well known. He was an Apple developer.
So let's take that fast forward to today.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find clients for your agency?
Mostly with sales, right? Sales call. I got 2 salespeople, but we'll build a lead list of, say, like a niche that we want to go after, where we think it might be like our services might be beneficial to them. I don't go into niches where I don't see that type of client finding value in the service that I do, right? Okay. So I do that. This at this time right now, we only do prospecting 2 weeks out of the month because I've got too many clients, right? I've got 43 clients that I try to maintain with my current team, and I'm currently trying to like build the second part, the B part of my team, to fulfill more people, right? Like we're right at the cusp of too many clients for the team I have. So we're trying to hire new team members to take on more clients.
Okay, so let's go deep, if it's okay. And I think people will ask, they want to go granular, right? Because they want to know. And Jason, jump in on this too.
No secrets here.
No secrets here. Full transparency, right? We're opening up the kimono. This is what you get in Remote Millionaires, folks, right? We're just sharing what we do. So how do you get your list? How do you build your list?
I use Leads Gorilla, right? Okay. And or Google. I use a Google scraper. We scrape Google. say for Google business profiles, we'll go and scrape Google and look at the ones that are sort of either ranking poorly, or you can see like their last post update was maybe 2 years ago, right? Or their image update was a year ago or months ago, right? Those are usually business profiles that need to be optimized, but you can't call those people and say, "Hey, I could optimize your business profile," right? That doesn't work, and I know a lot of people try to do that. It doesn't work. You have to explain the value of having a better business profile first, right? If they don't get it, they're not your ideal client. If they do get it and they say, "Oh, actually, that would make sense for me. If I had a better business profile, I would get more calls." Right? I would get more people clicking through to my website and reading my blog and reading about my services. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's do it. Right. But that's basically how I build my leads. And before I used to use Lead Kahuna, I used to use Leads Gorilla at the same time, but I moved over to Leads Gorilla. And I will just build a list of, I know a lot of people in Remote Millionaires ask me, like, how do I choose? It doesn't matter how I choose. I just build the list, and I would call them all for 8 hours a day. Right. My first year of Remote Millionaires, I would call for 8 hours a day. Then I would do another 5 hours of setting up the business, whatever learning I had to do around it. I would do that after, because getting the calls done is what brings you clients. You know, in my opinion, there's no emailing that can be done to get you a client. Right. You have to make those calls. So, the list could be, you guys could give me some random list. I'll just call them every day, and I'll speak to them the way I speak to people about Google and or a Google business profile or SEO or whatever the case is, a website. And hopefully that person shows me that they understand the value of it. If they do, I go further into it. Right. I don't delve into anything deep unless they show me they're interested,
Okay. Jason, thoughts?
Well, I have to add on to what Norm has said because I love it. Like he's saying, it doesn't matter what his list is made out of, almost, as long as they're real business owners who answer the phone, right? What he's doing is filtering them after he's made the list. He's kind of panning for the gold there, right? Shaking it through the filter and seeing if what falls out, right? And there's a saying, from the sales training field that I've been known for 12 years now. If they say it, it's true. If you say it, you have to defend it. And so going to them and going, "Hey, you need a new website. You need an updated business profile." It's like going to them. It's like, "Hey, you need psychiatric help." And you're going to get a middle finger and hung up on when you do that. So don't do it. And I'm glad you said that, Norm. But going to them and filtering for people who already agree or who can be shown something that they agree with. Right. And then now they're saying it, so it's true. Right. I believe that. Yes, that is the case. Okay. Now the door is open for me to offer them a solution to that problem. But if they don't agree that they have a problem that you can solve, get out of there. Right. And I'm sure, Norm, those calls are over within 2 minutes. Right. Where it's just not a fit and it's not going to be. And so you're not wasting time and energy on those folks. And you're going and you're looking, filtering for those people who do agree that they have a problem that you can solve, even if you surprise them a bit with it, right? That's fine. That's challenger selling, valuable insight stuff, right? That's very powerful. And then you can go on to show them, look, this is how I can fix it. What's it worth to you if I fix it? Let's go through some numbers and you help me figure out what the value is. And then my solution, if it's 5% to 10% of that, is usually a very easy yes, and it could be more. You could charge a higher premium if that's, if you're known for it. I think especially. So I'll stop there. I could do sales training for 10 hours.
No, yeah, well, I think that's good, and I think you said something. There was some gold in that, both of yours, obviously, but going to somebody and in essence calling their baby ugly. Right, something's wrong with their business. I use that phrase.
I call it poo-pooing on them.
Right, listen, you're calling their baby ugly. It ain't gonna work, right? And we get that so many times. I get unsolicited emails, just like every other business owner is like, your website's horrible. It's going to be okay, great. Tell me something I don't know. Of course, we could make everything could be better, but going and engaging them in that conversation of, hey, so here's some things I've noticed along the way. that was gold that both you guys have just shared, right? It's if people are on and they I wanted to call that out. Go back and listen to how both of them phrase that when we do the replay of the show, so you get that point, and that's how your approach should be. Norm, do you know the numbers, right? So for every, let's say, the old days it was 10-3-1. I think it's now 10-4, 1 or something like that. 10 dials, 10 outreaches, 3 connects, 1 person will talk to you and have a meaningful conversation, which is all you really want to get to in business. What do your numbers look like?
So because I don't do them as much right now, but
you got people doing it for you.
Yeah, but my metric was, if you make 100 calls, you will get 15 to 20 people that answer you. Out of those 15 to 20 people, you might get 10 that are somewhat interested. After the 10, you'll get 3 that are very interested, right? And sort of that's the metric I went by. And for me, I know that, in the last year or so, I've gotten a lot better at speaking to people on the phone where I only care about putting value up front first, right? I don't care about closing them. I care about them seeing that I'm someone that is of value to their business, and they should sign on to me and, ask me more about what I can do for their business. Like the vet I just hired, she's an old vet of mine for my animals, right? But she left the vet that she was at and she opened her own business. And then she called me and asked me if I could help her get more local ranking where she's located. And I said, of course I could. And I know confidently I can rank a website and I can rank a Google business profile number 1 and 2 in a 3-pack, right? So if you guys look at San Antonio, Texas, number 1, number 2 roofer are my clients, right? So that's like a 300 something roofer business competition area, right? It's so busy down there. And it took to get the 3-pack ranking, it took us 7 and 8 months. And then for the website to rank, it took us, I think 5 months, right? Because everyone knows home services, whether it's a roofer or plumber or electrician, most of them are not optimized. So if your lead or your client is on the 4th page, in the first 3 months of you optimizing their SEO, they will move to the first page, right? It's the first page hump that's the hardest to rank on, if that makes sense to people. So, you can move any home services business from the 5th page to the first page pretty quickly.
What do you charge for that? Because they're going to ask us right on the thing. So what's your 3-pack charge, or what do you go about charging for that?
So these days, my basic SEO package is $650 US, right? I'm up in Canada, so that works for me. But it's $650 US, and with that, you would get all your on-page done, all your technical SEO done, 25 keywords ranked, researched, and ranked, meaning in 6 months, I'll get you to number 1 ranking for those top 25 keywords, right? So you'll rank number 1 for those top 25 keywords. And then I will give you 2 really high performance, high authority backlinks, domain backlinks.
Wow. That's good pricing. A good value.
It's good value. A lot of people, when they hear about that, they don't understand it fully. And then when I explain it, they're like, okay, that's a good deal, right?
It's huge. Huge deal. In fact, if I was coaching, I'd say raise your prices. But then the Nick and me, business owner in me says, I got to hire you. So that's really, really good. So there's one thing we're going to answer Michael's question real quick. So if you guys could read it while I'm going to do this cute analogy. So Jason and I always talk to people in the Remote Millionaires program. If you want to learn more about that, just go to remotemillionaires.com/apply. But sometimes we get people from Canada, right, or Australia or England, and they'll always complain, well, that's too expensive because I got to do a conversion. And I was asking Norm that, and he said, well, I get it back the other way tenfold because I'm selling to the United States. And so when I charge somebody $650 US, which you clearly pointed out, what do you get into the coffer? What goes into your bank? 1,000 or 900?
Well, for me,
if you charge, how much do you get on the conversion rate? Jason, you probably know that. What do you get? 1,000 back?
Well, no, isn't Canadian dollar worth less than American?
No.
Canadian dollar is worth less. So when I charge
75.
American dollars for my US clients, which is
Yeah.
like 85-90% of my clients, I get 1.36% back, right?
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
so I get a big chunk back. So every time, someone says to me, they can only afford $1,000, I'm like, sure, I'm okay with that. Right?
I'm getting
do it for
$130 back.
$1,000, no
Yeah,
problem. Yeah.
All right. It's the old question. We always get it. I love this question, Michael. Great question. What would you do over? What's the biggest thing that you would do differently if you could do it all over again? Who wants to jump into the pool first?
That's a tough one.
Okay.
I guess there's two parts to it. One, I would get interested in a consistent sales process, knowing what that is and learning it and applying it earlier in my career. It took me 10 years in the field, and I was going back and forth between sales jobs and production management jobs to ask myself the question, wait a minute, I'm known as a pretty good technical sales guy. Why do I get some orders and I don't get others? And I couldn't tell you back then. And I went out and I got Sandler training, which is the same training Lucy teaches, right? We talked about that last time. And it changed my life. It was expensive. It was $13,000 in 4 years of my life, but best money I've ever spent, because now I know exactly why I didn't get an order if I didn't get it. I know it died right here. They didn't have a need for what I had to offer, or there was a personality fit problem, or the problem just wasn't big enough, or something like that, right, to warrant my involvement. The second part of it is getting out and talking to people. I'm active in a very technical field, and it took me probably 5 years of walking around it, no joke, with imposter syndrome, thinking I was going to have to compete with Stanford engineers and things like that, PhDs. And I've gone in, and over the last few years, I've developed a massive Rolodex of connections with it. I was on with a Navy commander who's also a defense contractor this morning for an hour and a half. And he reminded me about how valuable that Rolodex is, right? And so, and that could go into any field. That could get it, be getting to know electricians around Knoxville, Tennessee, if that's your area, right? Getting out there and actually talking to them. Like Norm says, all the emailing in the world, I don't know. It's never worked for me, and it doesn't seem to have worked for Norm. I want to point out to people too that I don't think, Norm's got character, right? And he's got persistence, and he wants to be, a workaholic. You don't have to be a workaholic to be successful in this business, right? If you put in 2 hours a day on this business consistently, that is way more valuable day after day, Monday through Friday. Take the weekends off, right? Carve out time for your family. Make sure that's a priority, that sort of thing. You will get results in this business, and it will be much better than going, all right, here I am. I'm all geared up. Let me do 25 straight hours of this stuff and then crash, right? And then get up and do it again, right? And try and I see people doing this still, Norm, right? For the last 12 years that I've been working with people online, coaching and stuff like that, right? They want to do these, and me too sometimes. I'm going to get in and I'm going to do this Herculean effort and it's going to fix everything. No, the 2 hours consistently every day, 10 hours a week, will get you much farther. One of the superpowers that I have is once I commit to doing something, it's very hard to get me to commit to doing it. But once I'm committed, that switch gets turned on and it doesn't get turned off. And it's hard to get turned off, right? And I'll go years probably doing something that maybe isn't working for me anymore because I'm so used to it, right? And so we got to watch for things like that. What is a superpower and how can it be misused and that kind of thing. But those are the two things that I would do differently. Get a consistent sales process in place. There's several different types of selling. Find the one that speaks to you. And we could talk about that. I think we have before, but I think we could talk about it again. And I definitely made a video about it in the Remote Millionaires group if you look for a post made by me. And then also starting those conversations with people in a target market sooner, right? Not waiting around 5 years with imposter syndrome like I did. The magnification, the network effect of, hey, them and they, oh, wow, right? When some Air Force general has 814 mutual connections with me, they don't question, right, about connecting on LinkedIn. They just go, yep, photo looks good, headline looks good, mutual connections. done. But in 2019, in the fall of 2019, when I didn't have those connections, I would bounce right off. So there's massive value in persistent, pretty low key effort, really, and developing that market. Norm.
Great. Mr. Norm, what about you?
I think for me, I would focus in my first year of RM. I probably would say I would focus more on building a sales team, right? I was trying to do it myself, plus set up the business, plus, manage the business. And I think if I had salespeople in there, whether commission based or, base salary based, that would have helped me get closer to where I am right now. Because I was doing like 5 to 8 hours a day of calling people, but that's what it took for me to understand the sales process and like speaking to people. A lot of people after they would speak to me would tell me, you sound like an expert. And I would be like, oh, maybe I am, right? But, it's from talking to people so much. I've spoken to thousands of people, honestly, about, SEO and websites and Google business profiles and why you need them, right? Why your business is, turning away money by not having those things up to date and corrected. And the better, I've said this on the last webinar, the more you can speak to people in their own terms about why they need your services and what those services do for their business, the better you will close clients, right? Where they're going to say, take my money, instead of you saying like, how much do you have to invest in this service, right?
Gold. I think there's something to be said, right? And you guys have both touched about it, right? There's the importance of doing reps, right? Just doing the reps over and over. Sometimes we think the reps are just output, but and Norm just pointed out, they're really input, right? I'm getting information from the market. I'm having conversations. I'm learning from business owners what they're saying, right? It goes back to, Mike Tyson. Everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face. Until you start taking those reps, right, and hearing, okay, I say this, and they, 5 people in a row, hung up on me, so I can't say that anymore, right? But really, the input that you get in from the market and just having really good conversations and leading with value. Norm, you were coaching one of our Remote Millionaires clients, customers, partners. Great guy. I love this guy. And he was struggling with, cold calling, right? And he was probably coming in brute force. And you said, hey, listen, let's just back up and let's just give value. And so he went from completely frustrated to, I think he had a 30% conversion rate, right? And was just getting successful. And so it leads me into answering Michael. So there's 2 things I would have done differently, right? So I created my agency in 2006. We launched it. It was a direct response agency, digital, print, you name it. We grew to about 3.2 million. 2 things I would have done differently that I learned from Remote Millionaires. First and foremost, I would have had a much more diversification of my products and services into the marketplace, learning from other people that are doing it, and then bringing it to those marketplaces. Because we kind of just launched it on brute force with 1 or 2 products and just pounded it out, right? I was really good at selling. I was really good at building a sales team. We had a sales floor, just making appointments, selling all day long. I would have diversified my portfolio of products, right, and extended, right? So I got a customer and I quickly learned not just get a customer and sell them one product, but sell multiple products and really maximize the profitability of that customer, right? So I already had the sunk cost of acquisition. So CAC, what's my cost of acquisition? And then how do I diversify that customer and really protect them? Get golden handcuffs on them because I'm providing them all of these services. They're never going to leave me, or I really have to screw up for them to leave me. And I think that's one of the things that Nick Ponte talks about in Remote Millionaires, right? I think it's the 3rd section of just how do you maximize the profitability of every customer. So I've already sunk costs, got a customer. How do I sell them more and more different services, diversify? If something isn't working, they're not going to walk away from me because I have other things going for them. That's the one thing I learned that I wish I would have done better, faster. Cost me a lot of money, Cost me a lot of time. It is what it is. Second thing I learned now is we all want to coast. We all want to slow down. We all want to take a step back, and you never can. You move to the CEO, just like we teach in Remote Millionaires. You move to that, but you got to be running the business, running the KPIs, watching the books, right? I had a partner embezzle $70,000 from us in a matter of seconds, right? We weren't watching it, or we made excuses, right? And so you have to watch everything and manage the business, manage the KPIs, and just figure out what's going on. Something was amiss, right? And we figured it out, and then had to deal with that. But so you have to manage the business, but never take your foot off. You can never take your foot off. You could relax, right? You need vacations. You have to have people you trust, but you never take the foot off of the selling. Somebody's always got to be doing the revenue producing activity. If you evolve past that, like Norm has, great. He casually mentioned, I got 2 salespeople doing it. Think about Nick Ponte's agency. He's got 2 or 3 people selling, right? So you have to have people filling the funnel for you every day, so that you never, ever push back, and get part of a community, right? It goes back to where we started. It's lonely being an entrepreneur. It's lonely doing it. So you have to focus on it each and every day, right? You have to focus on being an entrepreneur each and every day, and getting help with other entrepreneurs. So I gave you an extra one, Michael, because we like to over promise and over deliver.
Can I say one thing about that?
Yeah, go ahead, please. Please. Go ahead.
For all of us sharks, when you're doing this daily, it becomes a habit. Then it's not so difficult to do, whether it's making the sales calls or doing the service yourself, which a lot of you are still doing. When it becomes a habit for you, it becomes really easy for you. But if you're, every day you're choosing whether or not you're going to go and do that project or do this project, it gets a lot harder to do it that way. So for me, when I get up, I'm in business right away. Like, my bathroom's right over there. My office is right here. I'm in business right away. And it's a routine for me now. I don't even question what I'm doing daily. I'm like in work until 6 o'clock at least. So I'm not saying do it that much as I do, but it becomes a habit.
Yeah, everybody approaches their business the way, it's a lifestyle business, right? For me, I started this agent, the work we do now, so I could travel, right? My wife has a job that she gets to travel the world, and I have a laptop, and I have a mic, and I have, the ability to do it from wherever I am, and if we're in Europe, I just know I have to work on a different time zone, but I'm still going to go see cool things. All right, guys, rapid fire. If there's any more questions, put it in. We're coming up on over an hour. Hopefully we provided huge value. Hopefully you got something out of this. Once again, we're getting messages. How do I get to Remote Millionaires? If you've been thinking about the program, just want to talk to us, see what it's about, kind of just curious, remotemillionaires.com/apply. Once again, remotemillionaires.com/apply. Barbara's my new favorite, right? So, best hour of the week. I got to grow a beard, obviously, because everybody that's cool in Remote Millionaires has a goatee or has a beard. And, me with my button down and clean shaven face isn't cutting it as being cool. So rapid fire, what advice do you impart on the wonderful community of offline sharks and Remote Millionaires? What's the one thing that you want them to say, boy, I got gold up from today?
Nick, while we're waiting for that, I wanted to answer Sandy's question here.
Okay.
When you say putting value up front, what are you doing, right? Is it an audit report, that kind of stuff? So I have done audit reports. I have done hundreds of audit reports where I do a Loom video, and then I send out that Loom video to a target lead, and then I call them 2 days later. I absolutely call them. I don't expect them to respond in the email that I send out to them. I call them 2 days later, and I sort of force the receptionist to go and find that email with the video and send it to the business owner, right? I don't know how I do it. I don't know what there's no magic to it. You just have to be like persistent and a little bit assertive, and just say, like, it's important for the business owner to watch this video, because it's basically showcasing how your website is working behind the scenes, and why you're not being seen on Google, right? And then another part of that is when I first make a call, I'm not calling to close people. My intention is not to close them. My intention is to open up the conversation more so that they feel like I'm giving them some free advice about their online presence or whatever the case is. And they feel like that's value up front, right? Where you see like people have, 100 sales calls a day come into them, or 10 sales calls a day come into them. How can you be that one sales caller that's totally different from the rest of them, right? And that's how I do it. I make sure I'm not selling anything, but I'm giving them value up front.
It was huge, right? So I mean, hopefully people stayed on or they watch that in a replay. Value first. If you think about it, LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is very popular. And when you accept somebody's message, invitation request on LinkedIn, they immediately start pitching you. It's like, how do we get to this? How do we get to asking somebody to get married on the first date, right? We would never do that in life or in, just in social environments. And so how do you provide value first? How do you make context first? I think is key. Jason, last gold nugget.
I guess, well, do what Norm does. Okay. I talk about this, putting on your Sherlock Holmes hat, which is that duck-billed hat with the front and the back, right? Qualify first, sell later. And that's exactly what Norm is doing, right? In the background, he's filtering first, right? And then for those who do qualify, he will sell, right? They say that they have a problem. They show him how big it is, and he knows he can help them. And then probably he's doing some form of filtering for personality fit, which is this person going to be a client from hell or beautiful to work with? And once you've had your first client from hell, you will know, and you will never want that again. And so you filter, qualify first, sell later.
I think I would add, in my first year, every client I had was a client from hell, because I just wanted clients. I didn't care if they were horrible or not, right? And then I had to chase them for money, and I had to have a conversation with them like every other week. I was on the phone talking to them, and then I realized in my second year I had to get rid of these people, right? So qualifying your client and making sure the personality fits and the sort of the culture fits is a huge part of your sales process, right?
Yeah.
They got to match.
Everybody wants to sweep that under the rug, right? Just I want to make a buck. Well, it's dangerous to make a buck sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the most expensive mistake you can make in business.
Yeah.
I think that when in our agency, I had a partner that ran the back of the house, right? Because we were so big, we needed that. And I used to always say, I became so big, I didn't know all the clients, right? And I would ask, is so-and-so a good client? He says they pay their bills. That was his metric, right? That they paid their bills on time. He didn't have to chase them. And so, it's important. All right. My golden nugget, same thing as Jason said, just follow what Norm said, right? He dropped nuggets as a high performer, right? We started talking about high performance. We got into the nuts and bolts. He had to make X amount of dials to get to have 3 conversations, right? But that's the same as anything else. You have to send X amount of emails out to get X amount of conversations. You have to send X amount of direct mail pieces if you do that to get to X amount of conversations. And it's just math, right? Sales is just part math, part art, part science, math and human behavior, and just having really good conversations with people and go out and provide value to the marketplace, right? And that the more conversations you have, the more confidence you will get that you could do this over and over and over and over again. And I think the key is you took some time today out of your lives, and I appreciate that. And I take that with sincere gratitude, right? And hopefully we provided value, because you guys took an hour away. And that's the most important thing. You could have been doing something else, growing your business, spending time with your kids, or like Tom, going to take a nap because you're over 50 now, right? And so thank you for that. But you probably took some notes. You probably have some ideas that you got from this. Hopefully you have. Take action on those ideas that you took. Take action on those notes. Maybe you got 10 notes, just take one, right? We talked about it. Norm gave you 15. Jason gave you 20. I gave you maybe 3 good things. But focus on one thing and then go to the next one and go to the next one and go to the next one and execute, right, in business. And final, get part of a group, right? If it's Remote Millionaires, that'd be great. You see it along the bottom, have the application, just have a conversation with us. It will be your accelerant to get to the next level in your agency. It will be your accelerant to get to the lifestyle that you want, to get out of the treadmill. So we'd love to have the conversation with you. We'd love for you to be part of it. Hopefully we provided value. Thank you for your time. We're at the hour and 15-minute mark. Norm, you're a prince as always. You're phenomenal. What was your favorite dish to prepare? You didn't tell us.
So I don't know if I had a favorite dish to prepare. I'll tell you what Bill Clinton's favorite dessert is. It's strawberry shortcake. And then for the Queen of England, I cook for her too. Queen of England, her one of her favorite foods is lobster, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know if that's a rich thing or whatever, but that was one of her favorite foods. But what do I like to cook? What can I cook the best? I can cook a lot of Asian food, right? I went to Chinese culinary school after French culinary school, and I can cook Japanese food because that's like my second nature. I grew up with a Japanese family since I was 5 years old, so okay. I can cook Japanese food, but I don't know if I have a favorite thing to cook. Like, I love steak. I'm a nasty steak cooker. I can make you the best steak. If we go to Vegas as the shark community, I'll make sure that Nick and Tom have a way for me to cook for everybody, right? Like catering for 200 people for me, easy peasy, easy deal. Even today, I would do it, right? I would do it.
Wagyu or just regular?
Wagyu is not steak, right? Wagyu is a type of cow,
okay.
Right? But I can cook you Wagyu if you wanted to, right? Because it's easier. You barely cook it, you barely cook Wagyu.
I'm Italian, so as long as we're easy. We just put some pasta in a bowl and some good sauce, and
you can make good pasta too.
There you go.
Really.
All right. So not only did you learn how to grow your agency, how to grow your sales, how to connect with people, how to add value, but you learned that Bill Clinton likes strawberry shortcake, and the Queen of England, who's now calling him he just broke some MSA thing, and now he's getting a call on the bat phone. She likes lobster. Jason, what's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh my God, I'm a good steak cooker too, though. I'm a good protein cook.
All right.
I have made seafood crepes Mornay, making the crepes and the sauce myself, which did some doing. I think I was a braver cook in my 20s than I am in my almost 50 now. Okay. So I've started to cook again a lot more. I have nice cooking stuff, which I use, but mostly it's like pork chops, steak, stuff like that I'm cooking.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, you're wonderful. You're princess. You shared so much. Hopefully everybody got value out of it. Give us a 1 in the chat if you got value. Give us a 2 if you didn't. And if you have a chance, send Norma a thank you. If you got some value out of it, post in here so other people could see the value that you got. Thank you all for your time, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, community of sharks, community of remote millionaires. You're wonderful people. You're great to interact with each and every day. Thank you for what you do each and every day. You help business owners grow. That drives every local economy possible. You are helping them with their marketing so that they could pay their mortgages, feed their families, make sure their employees keep working. So the work you do is crazy, crazy important each and every day. Never forget that. Even on the bad day, you are the engine that drives your local economy or your customer's business. You help them pay their mortgage, put their kids through school, buy really good steak so Norm could come and cook it, buy lobster in case the Queen of England ever comes. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you for being part of our community. Everybody have a great weekend, wonderful weekend. Wish Tom a belated happy birthday if you haven't done that. You guys, we're going to sign off now. Take care.
Bye, everybody.